All right, Congressman, is this a pick of Mike Waltz a good thing for Pennsylvania or a bad thing for Pennsylvania? Because Governor Shapiro, your guy there, got dissed.
Well, what's a bad thing for our country is the idea that Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, could possibly have a chance at winning the White House, and that's what people are going to be voting for in the end. And boy, oh boy, does she have a list of lack of accomplishments as well as an ideological approach that is so extreme. She was ranked the most liberal, radical member of the United States Senate, and Sean, that's pretty hard when you're going up against Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
So, the idea a vote for Harris and her vice president pick now Waltz is a vote for open borders. It's a vote for abolishing ICE. It's a vote for defunding police. It's a vote for taxes and regulations through the roof. It's a vote for ending
But did we
private
dodge a
insurance.
bullet? Did we dodge a bullet? Would Josh Shapiro, your governor there in Pennsylvania, made it easier or harder for us to win?
Yeah, Josh Shapiro, in my view, would have been the best pick and
Right.
smartest pick for the Democrats, right?
But
And
what
they
is
didn't
it?
do it, as we
But
know.
right, but why? I mean, that's the answer. Why? What was it? A lot of people are talking about anti-Semitism in the Democratic Party because he's Jewish.
Yeah.
What do you think kept her from picking Josh Shapiro? Because apparently they've known each other. They got a relationship when they were attorney generals. Like, what is it that you think made her pick this guy that she's barely met, Tim Waltz, the governor of Minnesota, over your governor, who I think we all agree probably would have made it a little tougher on our side.
Yeah. I think you hit it on the head. There are probably a few reasons, but the main reason, very sadly, and today in 2024, is his support for Israel. Kamala Harris has made nothing uncertain about the fact that she's has real issues with the state of Israel. She's very sympathetic to radical, violent protesters that wave Hamas flags, and that's the and they were fearful, as we know, that would cause them to lose Michigan and likely have more riots than they're probably going to have at their Chicago convention. So, very sadly, for not just for Kamala Harris but for the DNC, the main reason they didn't go with Governor Josh Shapiro is because of his strong support for our ally, the state of Israel.
Let me ask you this: do you think we should capitalize on this? I mean, my view is that this they need to answer for the anti-Semitism in their party. And if I were, whether it's the RNC or the Trump campaign, make them answer for this. Josh Shapiro on paper was the smartest pick. And for a lot of people, the reason he didn't get picked is because of his faith. I mean, you saw him, by the way. I thought this was fascinating. He's like doing backflips yesterday, trying to apologize for this paper he wrote in support of Israel when he was
Right,
in college. And I was
right.
like, how pathetic is that this guy has to be like, I've evolved. Who cares? It's your faith, dude. Be proud of it. Stand on principle. I thought that was pretty weak on his part, though.
I agree. I mean, look, he that paper, and I read it, not all of it, but most of it. It was pretty harsh. But again, he was 20 years old, and 90% of it was things I agreed with. I mean, support for Israel. But listen, that whole situation, it needs to take a reasonable approach. But it's up to the Israelis. It's up to the Palestinians, and any leadership and assistance and that we can provide, all the better. But when you have a White House like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and a Secretary of State that's constantly criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu, criticizing Israel, and taking sides with those that are holding our hostages, including American hostages, all you do is embolden Iran. You embolden Hezbollah. You embolden Hamas. They're very, very bad at their job on an international basis, on diplomacy, on the economy, and on national security. Outside of that, they're wonderful.
That's like that. What's that old saying? Outside of the how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? Um, the thing that is interesting, though, to me is uh, I don't see a path to winning. I mean, there is one, but let's just be honest. I think Pennsylvania, if you can win Pennsylvania, it makes getting to 270 a heck of a lot easier in any scenario.
Yeah.
And I look at what they did, and I'm thinking to myself, you probably were going to win Minnesota. That's, and now fine,
Right.
we take Minnesota off. But does not picking Shapiro, do you think, make it harder because they have to move to the left and explain Tim Waltz? And I think, do people in Pennsylvania feel snubbed now?
Yes. I mean, I'm in Philadelphia right now. I just attended an event with Senate candidate Dave McCormick. I'm heading over now to the JD Vance event, and every news show this morning was talking about Josh Shapiro, like it was already finalized that he was the pick. There
Really?
was
Oh
oh yeah,
no! So they were excited. I mean, they thought that this was a done deal.
yes, oh yeah,
So
because it made a lot of sense,
it
right?
made a ton of sense.
Right, and they let it right up to the gate, and then slammed the door on him. And frankly, it's certainly a gut punch to Josh Shapiro, particularly with all the positive factors as to why he should have been picked. So, and there was more. There was some other things in his background, but go back. I mean, Kamala Harris and Waltz. They were buddies when they were bailing out all those violent criminals during the Minneapolis riots.
Right.
They were joining forces. They were collecting their pennies and dollars and God knows how much to bail out these
Yeah,
violent criminals.
she tweeted that thing out, support the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help these people out. And Waltz, by all accounts, looked the other way on a lot of stuff that happened there. Let me ask you, you brought up the other stuff. I want to ask you about that, but I'll lead with this. There are a lot of other people who say, look, here's the bottom line. Shapiro is ambitious. He would have outshone her. He has political desires, and so he would have basically not necessarily been a good partner. Is there anything to that?
Well, you heard what John Fetterman proclaimed that Josh Shapiro's overly ambitious and he looks past what's best for his own personal ambition. And you and I both know ambition's fine, but it's certainly not a virtue. There are many virtues that have to come first, and that certainly is the label that he's characterized with. I do know Josh Shapiro. He's a decent person. I think I disagree with him on 90%, if not 95%. Of policy issues on how to truly get the job done. He hasn't laid out any vision or plan to make Pennsylvania as great as it should be. And he's certainly not executing a plan because he hasn't outlined one. So I have differences with him as far as how he's trying to improve and strengthen and improve quality of life and make Pennsylvania an exciting, economically thriving state because he's just not doing it. But outside of that, he's a decent person. And he is intelligent. And frankly, next to Kamala Harris, he'd look like Winston Churchill.
Well, that was the thing. I know during his gubernatorial campaign, and Doug Mastriano, let's face it, was not the strongest Republican candidate, to put it nicely. I heard a lot of Republicans that I know say nice things about him. And I think that would have helped them to say, well, so-and-so, if you don't like him, here's what you said 2 years ago, 4 years ago. I thought that would have made it a lot harder to attack the guy with so many people publicly having said nice things about him. And now you sort of slam the door in that.
Yes, very much so. People do say nice things about him. There are Republicans say nice things about him. We've just had an event, as I said, for Dave McCormick, and there were a number of people from Philadelphia that care most about Pennsylvania. More so than the political affiliations and business development, as I said, quality of life, and they have appreciation for Josh Shapiro. Again, don't agree with him all that often, but have appreciation for him. And again, I mean, this was a gut punch. I mean, to lead him right up like this, to let everybody come to believe that our governor is going to be Kamala's pick, and then shut him down for a self-proclaimed socialist from Minneapolis.
How awkward is that Philadelphia event? They're kicking it off in Philadelphia where you are today, right? And it's just, I think Shapiro probably thought, okay, this is great. I can just walk wide over. Do you think suddenly he's going to have a scheduling conflict? It's like, he had cleared his schedule. He had bailed on all those Hamptons fundraisers. And now suddenly he's going to be like, I forgot I have a hair appointment.
Well, I'm sure he's going to do his best to keep a stiff upper lip, so to speak. But the enthusiasm's got to be completely drained, and he's got to be all that not pleased with how, in a way, they set him up. I mean, not just Pennsylvania, but I think most of the country thought it was going to be Josh Shapiro again, because Pennsylvania is so important. And I'll tell you something, Sean, we're going to win Pennsylvania if Shapiro was on that ticket or not. I mean, the momentum, the registration, the popularity of Trump, we're not being caught sleeping this time around. Our mail-in ballots are going to be strong. We're protecting the ballot. We're doing a lot.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.